Breaking news! Man claims his leather seats have officially toasted his buns, thanks to San Antonio heat.
This is Jessica Riquejo with IRG Live in San Antonio, Texas. And wow, folks, it is flippin' burgers on the sidewalk hot out here. As you know, no one is ready for this weather. Right now, temperature is 100 plus, constantly, with no signs of stopping. John, is there any hope for us getting some cooling off?
Well, Jessica, I'm glad you asked. With patterns of interest rates maintaining about a 6% average and a consistent increase in new listings, we're showing signs of a cooling market. Yeah, you're still gonna be hot as hell, but at least the housing market's cooling down.
This is Jessica Riquejo.
And this is John Moses.
And this is your
San Antonio Market Snapshot. All jokes aside, guys, it is hotter than hell outside. Please be careful, stay hydrated and whatnot. We do have some pretty cool information that we've actually been discussing here for the past couple of months in regards to the market cooling down. It has typically and obviously been a very, very hot market for the seller market, but it is and has been consistently showing a shift in the market.
That's right.
Very important though to take note right now the difference between a shifting market and a shifted market. But more on that here in a little bit. We're going to talk about these numbers that really paint this picture real quickly, and then we'll just kind of talk about how that affects us here in the next future and give us a full forecast.
New listings are showing increases month over month, and June has actually shown a 19% increase.
At the same time, there's still a consistent decrease on closed sales. For example, June has a negative 12% in regards to closed sales. However, where the balance is that the days on market, right? So how long the house has been on the market for sale, it's still been consistent for the past 3 months and pretty consistent in general. But right now it's been consistently at 21 days. So what that tells me is that the market is still hot, but there is still a process of decreasing buyers and increasing listings. So we're in the process of shifting.
Right.
What do these numbers tell you? How does it affect the buyers?
So just like we've been saying in all of our other videos, buyers are having more options. There's a little bit less pressure to hurry up and snag that house. Maybe potentially not offering over asking or over the list price. Maybe not even taking on some of the seller's costs, like the title commitment and things like that.
Yeah, and it's really interesting though, guys. It's very important that you have a real estate agent that really understands these numbers, because the market days to close or the days on the market are still very, very, very low. That tells me that depending on your price range and what you're purchasing on the property, you may still have to be very competitive, or it may have to be a little bit competitive, but we're still not in a position where you can just lowball anybody. And honestly, you're buying a house, so you shouldn't lowball unless you're an investor. You know better. We want to be strategic with that. So we haven't fully shifted. So be very mindful and ask for the right numbers so your offer is actually presentable and it's something still competitive towards the market.
Yeah, you don't want to lose your dream home over saving just a little bit of money out of your pocket. I mean, honestly, that's not a good trade-off. How are things changed for our sellers?
Well, that's actually, it's very interesting, because it goes back to understanding where we're at. We haven't fully shifted over, so this is still a really good time for you to take advantage of the market. We still have numbers showing 100% plus towards the percentage you're closing on, like what your asking price is. So for example, you're asking for like $300,000. Most of the time, and 100% of the time,
you got it.
You got it, right? That's the average. So this is still a really good time to do it, but not to add pressure to the situation, right? The difficult choice of moving forward with that, but you do want to move forward because these are clear signs of it potentially going into a balanced market, which we hope for. But if it goes into a buyer's market, you're going to lose a lot of that selling power that we have now. Plus, it can take a little bit of time to get your home turnkey ready for that sale so you can maximize your profits. So that's something I would strongly encourage sellers in this market to consider, is making that move pretty quickly. In regards to kind of summarizing the forecast, right, to where we're going, what we can predict. For me personally, I feel like we're in the right path to get into that balanced market because interest rates have been kind of consistent. They haven't been jumping the gun like they were from 2 to 4 to 5. They've been around that 6% rate. and because there is an average, consistent slow build of how many houses are becoming available, but not as many buyers. It tells me that we're on the right track for a balanced market, which is going to benefit everybody. The fear of it being like that, once again, we talked about it last video where it's going to be a market crash or whatever. Yeah. I don't see the signs of that. Not
where we're at now.
Not where we're at now. I just don't feel like that's going to be the case anytime soon. Values are still going to increase, maybe not as much as they have been, but I still feel like that's the trajectory. Like values in San Antonio, at least here, we're seeing that. So it's still a very strong market. So overall, I feel like we're in a good spot, and we're projected to be in a good spot too here moving forward. What are your thoughts?
In our last video, we did talk about how San Antonio is an undervalued market as it is. And so if that's the case, I mean, whatever you're seeing out there is probably a fair value. Now, I will note that I have been seeing a lot of price adjustments lately. And I think that is due to a bad advisement on the realtors side of it, where they wanted the whole enchilada, and they just and it wasn't a fair market value that they set to begin with. They wanted what was the highest in the neighborhood, and maybe they weren't the best home in the neighborhood.
Yeah, and you bring up a really good point, because we really need to take in consideration all the variables, guys. Like jumping the gun, not the gum. Jumping the gun in any direction, thinking, oh, this is still a crazy hot seller market, right? It might be in a different price range, or for an investor, or whatever the case is. There might be that, but for the most part, it's not as hot as you think it is. And the fact that there was a high volume of people changing their prices, reducing them, not only in pre-owned but in new builds as well, is already like an even bigger sign that there's a shift happening. So you bring up a really solid point to make sure you're really evaluating when you're selling your property. Evaluate like what is the best price. And behind camera, you made a comment saying market value is king. Yeah. And you're 100%.
What is fair market value? We've talked about this before. It's the amount that a buyer and seller agree to.
Yeah.
That's fair market value. And so if no one's buying at the price that they're setting, it's not a fair market value. Exactly. So you have to be careful where you set that price to. I hope this information was beneficial to you. Please like, subscribe, follow, share, all of the things.
That jazz.
Comment below if you have questions. Let us know. If you want some of our numbers, we will gladly provide them to you.
So definitely ask away. Feel free to give us a call at the number should be right here somewhere. My name is John Moses.
And I'm Jessica Urquejo.